right, we're here with Reagan Long at the local brewing company in San Francisco, California, and we're really excited to be here. We're tasting some great beers today. Let's start right off with that. Let's talk about what we're drinking.
Well, so you're drinking our Tradewind Tropical Stout, which is kind of a nice, interesting style. Originally, the British wanted to make lighter-bodied stout to send down to the Caribbean type of climates, warmer climates. So for this one specifically to be a little bit fruitier, lighter, more refreshing stout, because we have another stout on tap. So we basically have two stouts to make sure that they're different, and this is a nice fruity, refreshing stout, if there's such a thing. So
it's really nice. It just has that nice light flavor, which you wouldn't expect when you the stout. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm having a Lindemar Pale, which is it's basically a nice citrusy pale, but got 25% wheat in there, so it's a little hazy and gives it a nice kind of like sort of like fluffy mouthfeel.
So you're really known for a lot of your technology and some of the that side of brewing. So tell us a little bit about your philosophy and where you came from.
Well, I mean, I kind of have a long, very random background. I originally was an oceanographer right out of college, loved science, loved blending, sort of art science, and so got into home brewing. I'm originally from Oregon, and but been here for 20 years in San Francisco, and really felt like there was an opportunity. Basically, in San Francisco, 15 years ago, there were production breweries and brew pubs, and there wasn't really anything in between, like what I call a destination brewery and beer bar. And so, we kind of had this idea as a side project, me and my co-founder, of really sort of bringing a destination brewery and beer bar to San Francisco. So we started doing some market research and bringing our home brew out to parks, doing tasting feedback cards and things like that. And we got a lot of really positive feedback. It took us a long time to build this place. Ended up brewing on a bunch of different systems with partner breweries here in the city, Thirsty Bear, Social Kitchen, a couple of others, and have some great connections up in Bend, Oregon. But ultimately, really wanted to bring a great neighborhoody type place to San Francisco and incorporate feedback. And so as a part of opening up the brewery, we also built in a beer curator to our website. So we rank all of our beers on a hoppiness scale, an alcohol scale, and a complexity scale. So that allows, out of 16 beers that we always have on tap, they're always rotating, folks can just play around, I don't know if you can say cuss words or anything, but, basically,
Again,
all right, fuck around on the internet and just like play and basically see what beers we have on tap and then see what kind of beers would match their profile. So
that's great. You do definitely get this sense of it being local. So you're really true to your name. We were just talking about the handmade. You designed the tanks and you got them for Portland, which is kind of our sister city, really, in the beer world.
Yeah, absolutely. Being originally from Oregon, and really wanting to connect with some of our folks up there that have been really great supporters of local. I had because we're in a super small space here in San Francisco. I really wanted to make the most of the space, so I had everything custom made. The fermenters are skinnier and taller to fit in the space. And then we had our brew house from Portland Kettle Works. So this is a 10-barrel direct fire brew house. So everything in here is custom made to fit in here, and it's all locally produced, domestically produced up in Oregon.
So tell us a little bit more about the specs in the tank. You were telling me a little earlier about just how you had these designed and with some specific things in mind for your brewing style.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a 10-barrel brewery, as I mentioned. So all of they's tanks are they're a little bit slimmer and taller to fit in the space. I had them custom made so that they are top-mounted manways. Top-mounted manways can be a little bit a little bit more work when it comes to brewing, in the sense that you have to be on ladders all the time in order to really do any CIP or any dry hopping. But at the end of the day, it's great because if you can do a top-mounted manway on a small scale like this, it's great because CIP, there's no shadowing around a side-mounted manway, so it makes CIPs really clean and easy. We also had a dry hop port custom made, so that because we're doing a lot of IPAs and things like that. And the other thing that we did, it was actually kind of an interesting suggestion. Veronica Vega, who's a brewmaster, R&D brewmaster at Deschutes, I had asked her a couple of years ago if she were to redo the brew pub, if there was anything that she would do. And she was like, oh, if you have the opportunity to build two glycol jackets in your tank, you should do it. And so basically all of these are conical fermenters, but the cones are actually, there's 2 different glycol jackets, one for the cones so we can crash the yeast and let the rest of the beer go through the diacetyl rest. And so then there's another glycol jacket on top. The other benefit of having it custom made with those 2 glycol jackets is I can crash a beer a lot faster meaning crashing, meaning getting it really temperature really fast, as opposed to waiting for a long period of time for it to get down to transferring our carb temperature.
It's really interesting just when you get behind that technical side of things. I think people don't hear that very often. So
geeking out.
No, it's really cool. It's really fun to geek out. So then I just feel stupid because I don't know. I'm like, but it's really good. So we have that connection because I'm from Oregon as well. So
cool.
The Bend scene is a little different than the San Francisco scene for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think the differences between Bend and San Francisco are?
Gosh.
I mean, in a good way.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot. I mean, I think when we're talking about the brewing scene, I think, what's great and what we love about Bend is that there's such a great local following of all of the local breweries. One of the things that I love when I go up there is that every fucking bar and restaurant carries local product, local beer made in and around. And you don't see that down here. A lot of it's kind of like what sells the best. What's the sexiest thing? So that not in a bad way, but it's just it's the reality of living in San Francisco where people kind of want the world right at their fingertips. That said, I think a lot of what is definitely coming out in the last couple of years, having been in and around the scene for such a long time here in the city, is really seeing that sort of interest in locally produced products and handcrafted products, and definitely people wanting to connect with, any type of, whether it's food or beer or whatever, that's something that it's something tangible that they can go and they can see being produced, which really drove a lot of how we designed this place, so people can literally come in and almost step into the brewery, really see everything and how it's done. So.
Yeah, that's the one thing that you really notice when you first walk in. You really feel it. Is you come in and you feel like I'm really part of this. I'm inside, inside of the process, so to speak. And it was really fun to just step up to the bar, start talking, and just the way that you and your bartenders just handle how you present the beer, and it makes it a really fun experience. It makes you feel like you're.
Yeah, I mean, our whole goal is really to bring more people in and under the craft beer umbrella, and it's really about making, from a beer profile standpoint, and I like to brew beers that are really flavorful but really approachable. Hopefully not something that's super polarizing, but we do so many different beers. It gives us an opportunity to do a spectrum, everything from lagers to IPAs to Belgians to even sour beers. But yeah, it's really, though, about bringing more people in, and that's a culture that we're trying to set up, that obviously beer is a big part of, but it's also about how you feel when you're here, right? And then connecting to the beer that you're drinking, knowing that it's really being produced like right there. I think that just helps kind of bring it all together. So
what's the saying? The snobs, no snobs, no. What was that saying?
Oh, I don't know.
Is there a snob saying?
Sayings. I don't know.
That's kind of the rule in beer, right? There's no snobs allowed, or there's some saying in
like that. Yeah, I see
we'll
something like
focus on
no bitching, no complaining.
There you go.
And we give a shit. So
exactly. So San Francisco Beer Week is coming up, and you've done something with the stout, right? You've done something special with the stout, and I know you have some panels you're talking on. So tell us what you're planning to do.
Yeah, we have a lot of really special events coming up for Beer Week. So we've had this brick and mortar brewery and beer bar now for just over a year and a half. And one of the things that I wanted to do early on was bring in some barrel aged beer, or bring in some barrels to barrel age some beers. So we're actually, for the first time, releasing basically 2 dark sours that have been in barrels, individual barrels. There's a winery 2 doors down from us, Bluxom Street Winery. So we took a cab barrel from them, and we put in our Winter Sweater Imperial Porter about 15 months ago, and then we basically soured it by throwing in dredges of a Cantillon and Orval bottle, and I just saw what happened, and we got a really cool, interesting dark sour out of it. So we're doing a barrel-aged beer event, which includes the 2 dark sours and then 3 barrel-aged beers and 1 rum-aged beer. So the beer that you're drinking there, I put basically filled 1 rum barrel with that beer and have been aging it for about 4 months now. So we've got a lot of different really interesting barrel-aged things that are coming out, and that's one opportunity that we have to show, again, the spectrum of the beers that we do. And so that's super fun. We also do, this is our second year that we've been around for Beer Week. So last year we did a charity event. So we bring in IPAs from other bars or other breweries in town, and we all the proceeds go to a local charity. Last year it was for the Parks Alliance. This year it's for the Boys and Girls Club of San Francisco, which we're excited about that. And then we also have one of the things people here are super stoked on is beer and pairings. So there's a very popular bakery here in town called Tartine Bakery, and like people fucking lying around.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I have to deliver beer to them, so I don't have to wait in the line. I just fucking nab something. But they have they do great pastries, and so we're doing our 3 bourbon barrel-aged beers and our 1 rum-aged barrel beer pairing with Tartine tea cakes. And if you haven't had a tea cake, it's like amazing. Like theirs are amazing. They do a bunch of different flavors. They have a coffee cake and poppy seed like tea cake that is like amazing. And so I tried it with we did in one of the,
the crew is they're drooling back there. They're drooling.
So if you know Buffalo Trace bourbon, you guys know, so that we aged our Belgian Bump, which is a Belgian Golden with Phil's Coffee, a local coffee maker, and we put it in a Buffalo Trace barrel, and that is going to be paired with the coffee poppy seed tea cake thing. It's going to be
that sounds so amazing.
Fun. Yeah,
that sounds amazing. And when are you doing that during Beer Week? What date? Do you know?
That's the 18th. It's the Saturday. Yes, so our 2 barrel-aged beer events. The first one where we release the 2 sours and the other bourbon and rum barrel-aged beers is on the first Saturday, which is the 11th, and then the 18th is the pairing.
We're going to have to come for that. You'll probably find us under the table with flour tea cakes around our mouth and empty beer glasses all around us,
It's very San Francisco.
It is. So last question, just what do you find is kind of one of the challenges that you're facing in the industry today? I mean, things have changed quite a bit. What are some of the challenges that you face?
I think there's a lot of challenges. From the time that we started this, we founded local in 2010, and at that time there was maybe less than a dozen breweries in town. Now there's over 30, so which I think maybe a dozen have opened in the last year. So it's definitely, there's a lot of people making really, really good beer in the market. So I think at the end of the day, it's really about, obviously it's always about making good beer, but nowadays that's an expected. But we actually, we brew beer here and for consumption, but we also self-distribute in and around San Francisco. And so we've noticed that there is a lot of competition for those beer bars and things like that to get on tap at them. But I think, again, the more, going back to the Bend thing, the more people start supporting locally produced beer, the more we're going to start seeing those bars and restaurants, rather than carrying 2 local brewery beers, they might carry more like a dozen, right? And so that's the hope, is that people are going to start sort of appreciating the fact that, like, our beers, there's never more than 20 kegs out of every batch of beer we do, so it's super fresh. And people are starting to recognize the difference between big batch beer and more small batch fresh beer, and that's what we really are kind of banking on, that people, especially San Francisco, they're willing and able to understand that difference and support more locally brewed beer. So
you definitely are making a difference, and if I can hit that point home, you can taste that they're small batch. You can really the beers are amazing. This is definitely stop on if you're visiting or you're local. Got to come in, because it's definitely a fun stop, and I haven't yet, but we're gonna get a few bites. I've heard the food's amazing too, so we'll report back. So we're looking forward to Beer Week. We're looking forward to following you along the way and on your journey, and hopefully we can come see you again real soon.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming down.
Thank you so much.